in St. Lucia's healthcare sector and calls on government to rescind any contracts with foreign consultants for the purpose of managing the OKEU hospital.
So government will pay for all of the salaries of the doctors and the nurses at primary and secondary healthcare.
Wow.
That will not be included as part of the insurance costs. Government will pay all of the utility costs. And government will pay for all of the capital costs associated to healthcare in this country.
Can you believe that? Can you believe this, man? You are privatizing the hospital because you cannot find the $52 million necessary to operate the hospital annually. Notwithstanding, you gave away $54 million in VAT collection. But you are telling the people you will pay all of those things, including the salaries of foreigners.
When members come to this house and talk about consultancy fees, $9 million, so what?
Either you're irresponsible in making a decision like this, or you can't get it, you're not there. Mr. Speaker, let me just give you a few examples. Mr. Speaker, we signed an agreement with a consulting firm, to give management consulting at OKEU. To give management consulting advice, $12 million a year. $12 million a year. Think about that, St. Lucians, Mr. Speaker. $12 million a year to give advice on how to manage OKEU. For 2 years, 24 million EC dollars. Well, at least Lockerbie was putting down physical structures and stuff. How can you not ask the person who made that decision, how did you, on what basis, what's the value for money for this country to have to pay a consulting firm or a firm offering consulting services $1 million a month? $1 million a month. Somebody needs to explain that to the people of St. Lucia. $24 million. Somebody has to explain this, Mr. Speaker. How do you make a decision like this? Even if there is no corruption involved, you still have to explain it. Mr. Speaker, the vaccines. Somebody must be held accountable for that decision. Even if there was no corruption in terms of bribery or kickbacks, Mr. Speaker, how can you take $7 million of this country's money, give it to somebody to bring vaccines for you? That entity has no track record. They have no guarantee they will deliver. They give you no security to hold, Mr. Speaker. How can you do that? There's no proper due diligence. The financial procedures are not followed. And by the way, Mr. Speaker, that consultancy for OKEU did not go out for tender, nor was there a direct award. Just think about it. Did not even bother to give a direct award. Just sign a contract of that huge amount. No public tender and no direct award. And I know that for a fact. The Prime Minister was not there. I was acting Prime Minister, Mr. Finance. And they brought it for me to sign. And I said, I ain't signing this. I call him Prime Minister. I say, boss, what's this? What? No, I didn't sign it. When I told the Prime Minister, he couldn't believe that. But you were Prime Minister, Mr. Finance. You didn't even have the decency, if you're not going out for public tender, to at least give a direct award to legitimize the contract. You just first allowed it to happen. Mr. Speaker, the vaccines. How can somebody not be asked? How can there not be an investigation, Mr. Speaker, as to what happened with the vaccines? And I'm not even accusing anybody of stealing money or getting kickback. I'm talking about the outrageousness of the decision. So, Mr. Speaker, Guy Joseph took action against the commission for wanting to change the boundaries. And he said the reason why he did not support it is because we were trying to redraw the boundaries to make sure he lose. he loses. And he still lost. And he still lost. He never thought Joachim would come and beat him. Says he can never lose. But here what makes this thing really outrageous. So they take action, they go to court, and they said that Astafan and the other lawyers are friends of Kenny Anthony and they will be biased, so they replaced them. The court threw that out, and the court awarded costs to the commission. The court awarded costs to the commission. So that means Guy Joseph had to pay the commission. Yeah? It goes on, Mr. Speaker, where the government changes and there's a new commission. And then they decide now they're not going ahead with the case anymore. Guy Joseph is going to drop the charges. And in exchange for dropping the charges, listen to this. In exchange for dropping the charges, Guy Joseph will not pay costs to the commission, and the commission will pay his lawyers for him. Double whammy. Not only, listen to how bizarre. So they will not pay, Guy Joseph will no longer pay to the commission, and now the commission will pay his lawyers for him. Somebody must look into this. But here it is. The bill that the lawyers send, the first invoice, is about $500,000. $500,000. The first invoice. The first one, $500,000. You see, $500,000 for a case in court. Sorry, and they lost. That they lost. Yes, he lost. And his lawyer's bill was $500,000. The first invoice. No, the first. I didn't say that's all. I will tell you what all the invoices were. All the invoices came up to about $1 million. $1 million. So here what they're agreeing. They're agreeing that Guy Joseph will not pay the commission that he owes, and the commission will pay his lawyer's fees for him, which is at about $1 million. Mr. Speaker, can that just pass by? Whoever made that decision has to explain it. Somebody has to account for that. Mr. Speaker, just another little decision, and I can go on and on, Mr. Speaker. When a Prime Minister travels to London, and he rents a hotel room that costs £2,000 a night. Now, if you doubt it, stand up and rise on a point of order. With government now, we have the documents. 2,000. Now listen to this. I don't have a problem if anybody is staying in a hotel that costs £2,000. If it's your money or if your host is paying. But when you're taking the taxpayers' money, to pay the hotel room. I mean, I was a student in London. I live in cheap accommodation. So, I wouldn't exactly encourage you to stay in cheap accommodation as a Prime Minister. I'd be very disappointed if my Prime Minister stay in a £50 a night Airbnb, and say representing my country. He might do it. But, Mr. Speaker, £2,000 a night? £2,000 a night? And you're proud of this? £2,000 a night with taxpayers' money. I can go on and give you more details because he was not alone, Mr. Speaker. But Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I just want us to understand. In this bill, we focus a lot on corrupt conduct, where we believe an unfair advantage was gotten, somebody was helped and he got an unfair advantage. I'm looking at it beyond this, Mr. Speaker. Beyond this. I am thinking, Mr. Speaker, that this bill should allow us to cause people who took decisions that affected this country to explain to us or explain why they took those decisions. Mr. Speaker, we all know about the DSH agreement, and I'm not going to speak bad about DSH or anything of that nature, Mr. Speaker. But how is it that under Dr. Anthony, the member from Beaufort South, For more than almost 2 years, we are negotiating, trying to come up with an agreement that's in the best interest of St. Lucia. Just think about it. There's back and forth in emails, exchange of documents, and then you become a prime minister. And within 2 weeks of becoming a prime minister, you will sign an agreement. And the member from Surosa is not here, but he also signed. Can you explain to St. Lucians what it is that motivated you to sign such a terrible agreement? Explain that to me. How can this bill be used for you to stand up before the people of St. Lucia and provide justification for your actions? How? Because that agreement, no sane person should ever sign it. How did you sign it? Are you sane?